Right, this is Noster Vinny with his four-eye look. I wanted to do it with the glasses off, but I apparently am a blind man without my glasses. What is the options here? You know, the little glasses you put in your eyes, your contacts? I don't think so. Nah, I'm not going to put no contacts in my eyes because I don't like glass in my eyes. And what is the alternative to all plastic here? Let's bog down in facts. And the little laser things, I could do that, but I don't want a laser beam in my eyes right now. I don't have the courage for it. And I'm facing enough problems. So we're gonna put the glasses, huh? And we're gonna read just last weekend's momentous situations in acting, not acting, sports. In my boxing, as the reporter of what happened. Now let's say. And my magic powers had worked up until a certain point. I had won every done bet I had made. Yes, every bet I had made, except one, the most important strategic one. Now, where I miscalculated, the Ramford Bull Johnny Fisher, 13-0, with 11 KOs, versus the White Rhino Dave Allen, 23 and 7-2 with 18 KOs. I thought the Johnny Fisher would improve. That Dave, who's basically a super duper club fighter, but a club fighter, always failed to win his big test game. With a failing, even though he floored people and thought people thought he won the first fight, I thought my Johnny, would do well. Apparently, Johnny didn't do that well. Johnny and Dave came in heavy and took extra firepower. I thought, nah, it's not going to work. You're not going to have the stamina. If Johnny Fisher was able to compete with you to the late rounds and take you a big punch, beer belly doesn't help you in the fight. I was wrong. Now, beer belly apparently made him super duper. He stalked Johnny, and Johnny ran, and Johnny evaded, and Johnny threw a punch at one and a few body punches, and I thought, hey, he's going to get him on the stamina. But then the big guy, the big Allen, and bigger than what was both horizontally and vertically, hit him with a big punch. And he floored him. And then he hit him with another punch, and Johnny went down like Johnny had been shot. Down, gone, out, night. The big only screams you heard was the screams of the Johnny fans lamenting, which I was one. Because I had bucks then. If Johnny had won, I would be making a profit of him about $50 or more, maybe more. Didn't happen. Now, the other parts of my equation were correct. Two class Karan Conway, 22, 3 and 1 with 6 KOs. Knocked out Brad Walker, Jerome Waltonton, 15, 1 and 2 with 2 KOs. Now, this is just the way I did, Walton is this, I shouldn't say African American, but it's English African. He's a little feisty little thing. He comes in aggressive. He jumps around like a mosquito or a fly. That's and Big Dave, Big Conway's grill. And Big Conway basically hunted him down and had too much class, too much size, and knocked him out in 4, just as I had predicted. Now, that went the way I thought it would. Then they had George Leonard, 11-0 with 6 KOs, half of his fights by KO, fighting Aaron Sutton, 19-1 with 3 KOs. Well, look, let me tell you about Mr. George. And then we'll call the other guy Aaron. Okay. George is like a Jack Dempsey sort of situation. Half of his fights are by knockout, and he's pretty. He's aggressive. He's a big smile, good personality, and aggressive. He's fighting Aaron. Aaron looks like he's a little scrawny. Looks like the guy in the before pictures that they used to have on back of magazines where somebody kicks sand in his eyes, and he got beat up, and then he muscled into something situation, which beat up the bully. That's the way it went. The guy, Aaron, didn't have anything but a jab and boxing ability, but not enough boxing ability to keep George out of his grill. So, and eventually, he got floored 5 times. I was thrilled. On my timing at that point, it was perfect. Then there was Jimmy Sweeney, 9-0 with 9 KOs. All that KO, fighting Gordon Johns, Gordon Uzianen, 7-4. Now you go, whoa, whoa, whoa. Why are they, what's the mismatch? But Gordon had never been knocked out. Never knocked out. And all his losses were to undefeated fighters. Well, I would call Gordon the squid or the octopus because half the time he survived was because he grabs onto people. He grabs onto people and he squids and he's a machine. He neutralized Timmy, tough Timmy to an extent, but not enough. Not enough. He didn't do it enough because Timmy managed to outpoint him. It was a sloppy fight. Timmy, I would never fight him again if I was Timmy, even to make up the fact that he didn't knock him out, because it's an unpleasant situation. You know, headbutt going on there. Then there was John Hodges, 10-0 with 3 KOs against Nathan Corliss. Nathan, John Hodges, another guy. And I don't know how I even remember this one. John Hodges is the gentleman, was not so gentle with Nathan Corliss. Corliss has no power. He's 13-1 with no KOs. Oh, he's got 1 KO. You couldn't keep him off him. That was that was the fight. John Hodges appointed him. The gentleman was not so gentle. Now, the next fight here on the itinerary is Shannon Shannon Ryan, 8-1 with 1 KO against Farah El Barasa now 10-5-1 with 3 KOs. Barasa is a South American situation. She was fighting a uh, uh, muscular woman. Very, very good in shape. Oh my God, a little bodybuilder there. A little short, but had technique. And she pointed the South American by a wide margin. Me and my aide were thrilled. We're looking at that. We're saying, "Oh wow, ooh, la di la. That's a nice looking little bodybuilder, miniature bodybuilder." Now, to the last fight of the season, Taylor Biven, 3-0 with 3 KOs, which is unusual because a lot of the English fighters fight these survival types. So if they score big knockouts, it means something. Well, he's fighting Jean Carlos Camacho, 7-4-0 with 3 kills. Physiologically, they look like they were even matched, but Mr. Bivin was special. A national champion of the let me get this off here. I pasted this on here of an amateur. He's very good. He's like a little white Joe Louis, 168 pounds, thereabouts. Very good, very good fighter. Now, I won. I won almost the whole thing except for the main event. Didn't make so much money there. So things happen. Now, we're going to go to the last fights of the season, where Alfonso Fernando Vargas Jr., 16-0 with 14 KOs, but El Mego Canzo, what? Gonzalo Constello Hora. He's 25-7 with 9 KOs. Now, this was an interesting fight because this was the first big test for El Alfonso. And this is the prodigy of Fernando Vargas, one of the great fighters of the 1990s. Very good fighter. Yeah, 1990s, maybe 80s, not quite. 1990s, as I recall. It's my deteriorating mental situation. These gets to be a blur the past. Anyway, he had a good fight. The Cora tried his best. He lacked the speed and the firepower but he had the technique and he had the good idea, and he was going after Alfonso. Alfonso was leery and taking some shots, but eventually he turned on the speeder and the power and the aggression and knocked the guy silly. Very satisfied. So at least today. Junior was not so junior. He was senior, seniorata, senor. Goodbye, Mr. Goro. Now, another fight on the same roster was El Merchant 2, Nathan Rodriguez, 18-0, with 13 kills. And he was fighting a guy who was a midget. I'm telling you, it was like you think midgets don't get our jobs? Well, this guy was a former flyweight, and he's fighting featherweight. And he's fighting two or three, but he's a little feisty little thing. He's putting up a good fight. He's tiny. It was like a child fighting an adult. But to his credit, once Rodriguez figured, hey, I should get rid of the midget. It's making me look bad, not knocking out a midget. He knocked him out. And they had thrown in the towel because this midget was a lawyer, and he's a professional fighter in Nigeria, Nicaragua, somewhere in that direction. And that was that. Then there was Brian Flores, who was 19-2 and 0, was fighting Jesus. Well, Jesus Gonzalez. Now, Jesus was doing a miraculous job. He was outpointing him. Flores, who had his whole contingent of fans there, uh, was not doing good. He was soft. Not soft. He was unpracticed. He hadn't fought in a little while, and well, he should have lost, but he got the decision. And interesting enough, hometown advantage. The other guy wasn't in his hometown. Gotta take this down. This is tape. Come on. Come on. That's how we do it. Yeah. Oh, see if anybody don't know it right now. I got torn radio cuffs, so it's hard for me to move my arms. Well, I think I look good. For a guy my age, 65 years old. Pretty soon I'm gonna like lie about the whole thing so people think I'm younger. That's his age is in this country. Age is that's not right. Anyway, I'm gonna sign off now because in a half hour I gotta get up to take my meds and get ready for the new day. The new day. Hmm. I love a parade. The beat of the drum, the beat of the drum, the beat of the drum. I love a parade. Da, 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 da. Da, 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 da. La, 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 la.